my attitude to someone struggling with mental health issues would basically be try it out. You've got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, then at least you've tried it and you can tick it off and say, okay, that didn't work. But there's an answer out there for everybody. That's what I believe anyway. That unless you're getting into the sort of territory where you have to hand the case over to a qualified psychologist or psychotherapist who can, dig deeper. When it comes to my experiences, I think for the vast majority of people, there is a solution, and my attitude would be never stop searching for answers, because when you find a solution or a couple of solutions that start working for you, that will have made all the journey worth it.
Man, we always go off on these tangents. That's why I like to talk to interesting people on my show. It's never really just about that thing that sits in the topic. It's always so much more.
Correct. Yeah. So bad.
Yeah. It's perfect to find. This is how it should be. This is organic. This is a kind of existence. This is the humanness that I celebrate about the show. But let's not let's still try to maintain a balance, because what I wanted to ask you about this wonderful resonance that you've been getting around the book, which is nice because it is an acknowledgement to and for of all the people who are supporting you. I just want to ask you, who are these people?
Okay, so there are a number of them. To start with, I have a friend from Toronto who's a writer. Peter is his name. I've never actually met him because despite the fact that I've written a book based in Canada, I've never been to Canada. But Peter has shown a lot of support for my work. He also is interested in languages, like I am. And I've been meaning to read one or two of his works, and he's put me on to one or two of these people in India who have reviewed his work. He said, I'll try these people in India. They could be of use to you. So, yeah, Peter Gray is his name. And The Tragic Tale of Teddy Woven is one story that he's written. So I can recommend him, and I'd like to say thank you to him if he's listening in. Other than that, there are the one or two people in India that I've been getting in touch with. Shreya Vijay, I think is the lady's name, who has bought a copy of my book and is reviewing it for her platforms and helping to spread the word. So that's nice. Other than that, I'd also like to show my appreciation to some friends in British Columbia. I have some friends over in British Columbia, in particular, two of them, a very energetic lady called Amber, and a friend of mine called Cody. Amber and Cody.
It is December 2020, and the crisis has to date brought all of us to the limits, shook us to the core, and even called our very worldviews into question. While ever mindful of the pain and suffering that the current circumstances have caused for many of us, there are indeed a great many lessons to be learned. Today's show is about gratitude to people. It's about acknowledging the humanness, the vulnerabilities, the creativity, and the contributions of people. My overarching context for this episode 39, for the previous episode, as well as for the following 40 and 41, will not be weighted with theory and abstractions essentially to no avail, but tangibly entail those very real human aspects that speak to face and name. We've finally begun to accept the reach, the depth and breadth that online engagement offers, together with the pitfalls. In the midst of all these changes, however, we, the creators, trainers, teachers, coaches, developers, artists, the people who have always known this potential, are finally being lent a well-deserved token of acknowledgement, or legitimacy if you like. Again, we have ourselves also been brought to the human limits of what some would call a much more intense ones and zeros paradigm. From the limits of my own context today, my own experience and worldview as an independent artist, trainer, coach, creator, I know that it's exactly that human element, that relational quality, das kleine gewisse Etwas, wie wir auf Deutsch immer so sagen, that now threatens to be critically lacking. We can get all scientific on this in another show, perhaps. But as a past professor once said to me personally, there are other ways of knowing. Metaphorically speaking, as I always say, there is a lot between 1 and 0. And until we first learn to fathom and negotiate that chasm, let it be known that this independent show, for one, not only embraces a quality of inclusiveness and equality, but also, as always, takes my usual relaxed, accessible, human approach to your learning experience. So then, without further ado, our guest for today, Mr. Andy Beck.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Thank you for having me again, Ian. How are you doing?
I am well. I could be better, honestly, because the weather is a little. Well, it's dark and it's that funny kind of rain that goes on and on and on forever.
Right, if it's a little dreary over here as well, the sun's been absent the past few days, so, and it's getting slowly colder, so I hear you.
Well, at any rate, I do spend a lot of time in the studio, whether it be teaching or hosting interesting guests on the show. So, it's sunshine in here anywhere I'm at. I always say.
Good
So
stuff.
it's not too bad. It's not too bad. The last episode we had together, on that show, episode 32, I threatened to invite you again to, give us a little update.
Yes.
Now, just to be on the same page, right? And, our listeners might be wondering what exactly that means. I'm just going to ask you, Andy, why are we here today?
So we're here today for a couple of reasons. We are here to talk a little bit about my novel, which I touched upon when we did the episode 32, but we have some other things to discuss as well. We have some people that I'd like to mention to say thank you to who've helped me along the way. We're also going to be speaking about the approach to writing, such as, how many sort of identities that the creative person has. We're also going to be talking about the creation of musical jingles, because I'm a musician as well, and I've written some musical jingles for some people, including yourself, sir, of course.
I
And
appreciate it.
yes, and then slowly we're going to circle back round to the book, I would say.
Okay, fantastic. That sounds great. That sounds great. And at first I was thinking of just making a trailer episode, but I think I'm gonna just give us the freedom to just run with this. I mean, my listeners, they know that it's good stuff, yes, and anybody who doesn't know what's good, it's actually their problem. So we're gonna just give ourselves a freedom, and I'm inviting you and giving you the stage, sir, to just be honest and open, with your sentiments and your contribution for today. I'll do the same.
Okay, brilliant. Looking forward to it.
Yes, man. Yes, man. So, also, I have a first question for you. I always say also because, the German is kind of like
Because
in
of
my
the
blood
German.
these days.
Yep.
Yeah, it is affecting my English in strange ways. But, I just want to ask you, coming back to not coming back, but touching on the first thing you mentioned, how do you feel about how things are going with the book right now? And you mentioned some people that you wanted to mention. Tell me how's it going?
So I'm remaining optimistic, and I'm thankful for the progress there has been. In numbers purely, I've sold 50 copies of the book so far, 50. Which, given the fact that the book came out at the start of September, is not a bad number. So there have been people who've shown interest, and ever since the first couple of weeks after the release, the numbers have trailed off a little bit, but that's not a problem. I expected that. What I've been doing ever since is just trying to put the word out there and create some notice, shall we say, about the book, just to get the word out there in as effective a way as I can. And one way to do that is to try and create content that other people will appreciate, so you're not just going hard sell on them, so you're giving them something that they will appreciate too. So you're creating culture and community around the book, around the sort of subjects that the book is about. I'm talking about things like Irish music, about St. Patrick's Day, about the Celtic excuse me, the Celtic countries and Celtic culture. So I've been trying to post things and talk about things that are around those subjects, so that I can provide a place where people feel at home, where they feel that their interests are represented, and somewhere they can keep coming back to. And I have had some responses from people. There are a couple of people in India, fortunately, who've been interested in reading the book and have been open to reviewing it. I've got my first few reviews on Amazon. So, yeah, all in all, I'm grateful for the progress that there has been. But you talked about me being authentic and open. It is a bit of a hard slog sometimes. There are lots and lots of ways to promote a novel or to promote a book, and you've got to try and find the best ones. And it's a game of patience as well, because it doesn't happen in 5 minutes. It takes a lot of work to find out what's working well and what isn't, to try various techniques out. There's all sorts of marketing that you can try on the likes of Amazon. So I'm just running with it at the moment, wandering through, seeing what's working and what isn't. But I'm not going to lose hope. No matter what happens, you don't lose anything unless you just give up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Andy. I'm happy for you because I understand this whole thing of content creation. I mean, as a book is content, you have it's what do you call it? It's a hard form media that you hold in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not right. Well, actually, I am kind of writing a book, kind of with all the content that I'm putting out there, and one day it would probably take that form. Mentioned that in an episode earlier, but not really writing it as such. I understand what it is you're doing. And to touch on what you just said, coincidentally, this show has been enjoying a strong listenership from India these days. I think through
That's great.
Ghana, Gaana. That's very popular over there
Yeah,
in
I know it.
India.
I know Ghana. Yeah, now you mention it, I've heard
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. There was a spike in listenership recently, and I mean, also your show also did very well. So I wanna hope, I'd like to believe that that might have helped somehow, maybe in the sale of one book or
Well,
two. I
hopefully.
hope. I hope so. I hope so.
But it's great to hear. I've never been to India, but India is a fascinating country. I'd love to go there. Obviously, it's not a good time to travel at the moment with everything that's happened in 2020 with COVID-19, but it's on the list of places that I'd like to see. And a number of people that I know well have spent prolonged periods of time in various places in India, such as Tamil Nadu, I think is one place, or Chennai. That's in the south of India. They've been
Mhm.
there. I've worked with Indian people from the likes of Bangalore, from New Delhi, where else? From Mumbai, of course. So
Yes.
it's a fascinating country, and I've got a lot of respect for Indian people because despite the fact that India was once part of the old British Empire, I have never found Indian people to bear any malice towards the English. They speak fantastic English,
Hmm.
and well, a lot of them do anyway. And
Yes.
yeah, my experiences with Indian and with Asian people in general have been almost exclusively positive.
Yes.
And any negative experiences had nothing to do with the culture. That was just that particular person was a bit of an idiot.
Oh yeah. Of course. Of
But
course. We
you
have.
get them everywhere, don't you?
Oh yes, oh yes. I met a guy the other day on the train. He said he had issues with my hair, and he
For God's
started to
sake.
tell me how I should cut my hair so he'll feel better. But I mean, that's not what this show is all about today.
No.
Um, but the thing is with India, funnily, we're on the topic right now. We had some Indians in Jamaica at some point, and we
Hmm.
still do. They came to the island, and they've integrated into the culture quite deeply, and in the larger Caribbean as well, more in Trinidad and Tobago.
Hmm.
But in terms of English as a language trainer, I have heard from students that they appreciate the varied vocabulary that let's say the Indian standard of English delivers.
Hmm.
I had two people who were very impressed by that, and well, very impressed with that, you might say, and that's one of the things that I remember. Apart from that, to me, it's just normal. I can't think of any superhuman or super whatever characteristics. It's just another group of people who speak English. Of course, there are sometimes some accent issues that we did speak to in episode 35 with Sandra. I mean, a lot of these things are basically immaterial.
It's it is true to an extent. I have had times in my life in the past where I've struggled to understand, somebody's accent from India, but that was just part of the learning phase, And I mean, as I say, the vast majority of times I've had no trouble. So you talked about the fact that Indian English, or the different forms of English spoken in India, can sometimes have their own derivatives of, well, what the hell is standard English, but let's call it Oxford English. Yeah, there are a couple of differences that I noticed in India. I think they tend to say email ID instead of email address.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's like nothing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you see email ID and you know immediately what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there was a lady who used to say something like, even I am waiting for them to respond, which means I'm waiting for them to respond as well. So she'd use even instead of as well. But it wasn't hard
Mm-hmm.
to understand. Those are just, oh, and I do have to mention my favorite Hindi word is jugaad. Do you know that word? Jugaad?
I
Okay.
don't.
It's basically means that if something's broken, don't get it repaired properly. Just sort of do a bodge job to fix it. Or basically, it's kind of like the Indian version of an English saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Basically, if you can bodge
Ah,
something together and get it to work, then, bodge jobs are the best. If it works kind of thing. And yeah, it's a couple of Indian people taught me that word and it's remained in my mind. So Jugaad for the win.
okay, okay. Well, that's definitely new. I'll research it. I research it. But I mean, the accent thing, it's really neither here nor there. And the Indians that I know, the little accent issue that just takes a slight adjustment. Sometimes maybe you have to ask for a repetition.
Mhm.
Sometimes pales in comparison to what they offer. I mean,
Absolutely.
in business fields, as they're great mathematicians
Hmm.
and so on, and IT people and so on, Google, yeah, and the accent thing really pales in comparison to what they offer and the richness that they bring. Now, I mean, we don't want to make it feel as if we're trying to praise up the Indians too much, because let's just keep it real. It's nice that they're listening to the show. It is nice that the listenership there is going up. I appreciate it and so on and so forth. But at the same time, you know, just keep it real. And again, though, the accents. Not to say that there is not sometimes need to adjust. I have to adjust my accent. If I go straight Jamaican, it's really not for everyone. And yeah, there was a lady that I had an interview with in episode 13. She specializes in that. So if you, for example, want to play a role in a film, and the director or whoever requires a more American swing or British swing or Jamaican swing or whatever, she helps with forming that, and
Oh,
that is her
interesting.
job, and that's it's totally legitimate. Yeah, but the idea of closing out people and so on is not something that I
Of course, yeah.
support.
But I've got a little proposition for you, Ian, just as a bit of fun, right at the end of our little episode today. If you want to go full on Jamaican on me, try me, and I'll see how I'll for a few minutes, and I'll see how much I can understand. I'm not going to reply in Jamaican patois because my Jamaican accent is terrible. I could with enough practice I could get there because I can do a convincing Scottish or Irish accent. But yeah, you could just, if you want for fun later on, you can try your Jamaican like strongest on me, and I'll see if I can understand everything.
With all pleasure, with all pleasure. I will. I'm making a note of that right now so I don't forget.
Good.
Right. Now, thanks for that. Thanks for that. We kind of, well, went a little deep
Hmm.
into the Asian engagement in the show.
Hmm.
I am just glad that you're also seeing something from that side of the world. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
But you spoke about the social engagement in terms of your book right now. What you're, yeah, but basically the things that you're doing. I see that because we're connected on Facebook, on Instagram,
Hmm.
and I see also that you're getting some good resonance, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
with some of the things you post.
Exactly. Here and there I am. It's always nice to put a post up that gets a bit more recognition than others. And again, like the best example I can give recently is that I posted a picture of Celtic Park, which is the football stadium in Glasgow that Celtic, the football team, play at, Celtic Glasgow. And I'd like to go there and take my wife along if I can. one day
Mm-hmm.
when it's possible. And I put that up, and it's not directly to do with the book, but the book is about Scottish and Irish music. So again, Celtic Park is a piece of strong Scottish culture that resonates strongly with people. And when I put just a picture of the ground up and said, I'd like to go there one day, and I explained how Kirsten and I came by it, because we've never been there, but we were, before lockdown started this year, we were in Glasgow in January, and we were in an Irish pub. We walked past an Irish pub, and I said to Kirsten, "Come on, let's go in for a Guinness." So we did,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah.
was full of Celtic fans who were just having a drink or two before going to the game. I can't actually remember who they were playing that day, but it was buzzing in there. They had a musician playing songs about the club. Danny Kelly, I think his name was. But yeah, so we weren't Celtic fans, but it was nice to be in there and absorb the atmosphere. And I think I spoke to one or two of them. So anyway, I've sidetracked a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you put something out there in terms of content that isn't just about your book all the time, then it does resonate with people, and they appreciate the fact that you're not just going hard sell on them saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That's the worst way to promote anything. You've got to create a space where people feel that they know you, they feel that you're genuine, that you actually care about the culture, and then
Mm-hmm.
you'll get some more engagement. And people, I've had one or two other folk musicians add me on Instagram, and that's given me the chance to contact them via DM to try and build some rapport with them, to ask them, hey, I've written this book about folk music. I don't suppose you know anyone who might be interested, and then you can start to pitch the question. And it's the fairer way to do it, rather than going hard sell. You want to give as well as take, and that's a big lesson from writing a book.
Yeah, yeah, the things we learn, and I mean, you're touching there on a kind of a humility that is necessary these days, and this kind of recognition that you give to people
Correct.
as as a for being people, yeah. And I can definitely agree with that. I mean, it's part of the reason why I also do the show. I've decided to. I'm living in a new culture. For years and years, for years, Andy, I'm telling you, I tell you this, and I kid you not. Yeah, for years, I wouldn't wear sneakers. I always I always wore shirts with buttons. I always was like clean shaved and things like that, and did so many things to fit in a way that was ordentlich.
Hmm.
Yes, and I did that for years and years, and then after a while, it's not just since last December that where I stopped cutting my hair, but I just recognize that, I mean, it's, I'm just gonna go authentic, and not that I don't care what other people think, but I care less about some things that people might think
Hmm.
that I have no control over, and that authentic approach to also the show works better for me in terms of people finding it and finding out who I am, who I really am, nothing verstellt, as we say in
Yeah.
German. And I get clients quicker. They ask, "Do you teach?" I say, "Yes, yes. Check out the show, find out who I am." And then the next call, they say, "When can you start?"
Yeah, it's you touched on some important things there. Stopping you never stop caring entirely what other people think, because
No, not at all.
we're social creatures. But as you get older and you learn more about yourself and the world around you, and how the world around you works, you do start
Mhm.
to care less about what people think, and you think, I want to make an impact on this world. I want to be remembered for who I really am. So you put your authentic self out there, and if you start to get criticism for doing what you believe in, then that's a sign that you're probably on the right path, actually, because not everybody will get what it is that you put out there. If you put something out there that you believe in, some people will take exception to it. But you're, like you said, you will get that positive interest because people will see that you're for real. And like you said, you can't control the fact that other people will stare at you, that they might think certain things, that they might even say certain things. But what you have to do, as annoying as it is, you just have to grant them that right and then let it go, and possibly even just say, well, thank you for your input, but then move on.
hmm and that's so funny. Life is full of paradoxes. The older you get, the more you see them. And the same way I am drawn to contrast in photography and in many things, also dance and so on. Because what you're touching on right now is saying, well, not to care so much about what other people think, but in so being, that is actually living a kind of humility, actually. And another paradox that's coming out is like a kind of a power in powerlessness. Yes, it's like a giving up, not really like giving up, but kind of like a letting be
Yeah, letting go.
yeah, letting go, and letting, people arrive at their own conclusions because they will anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I started in, oh, now when was this? 2017, I think it was. Might have been 2017 it was. I having struggled with mood swings and so forth for a large number of years since my teens, periods of unhappiness, to put a label on it, depression and anxiety. Nothing overly serious, but it was still very unpleasant and not a nice time at all. In 2017, I discovered something called mindfulness meditation. Have you heard of mindfulness?
Yes, I have. As we speak, I'm actually working on a video now with a friend of mine called Fadida. We've been working for a while, and we spoke about that in her dance practice.
Okay.
But yeah, tell me about your experience.
So basically, mindfulness meditation is the opposite of some other forms of therapy. I'm not here to say that it's necessarily better, but where other forms of therapy teach you to get into the crux of whatever issue or problem you have, mindfulness meditation teaches you to try and let it go, or to, well, I won't go into huge amounts of detail about it, but instead of teaching you to get into the problem, it teaches you to let it be. Not to completely ignore the fact that it's happening, because you can't, but through regular practice of mindfulness meditation practices, you can really calm your own mind down. To talk about anxiety and depression again, depression is past oriented. You can't be depressed unless something has happened. And anxiety is future oriented. You can't be anxious unless you're worried something will happen. And
Interesting.
yeah, it is. And why meditation works, for me at least, is because meditation involves a series of exercises that force you to live in the present, or force you to be in the here and
Ah,
now. So if
it's
you're not
like that.
focusing, yeah, exactly. If you're not focusing on the past or the future too much, it knocks depression and anxiety out. And by forcing you to live in the here and now, and the more you do that, the more you feel connected with what's going on in the world, and the more you practice it, the more it becomes second nature, and you can catch your mind running away with itself and think, oh no, there it goes again. Stop, breathe, pull it back to the here and now, whether it's focusing on your breath. I like to focus on, I just picture, calm pieces of music or calm scenery, and it really does help me just to take the day on from a much more calm and controlled place. So my preferred form of therapy is mindfulness meditation, or MBCT. Actually, yeah, it stands for mindfulness based cognitive therapy, or in German, Achtsamkeitsbasierte kognitive Therapie. Nice long
Whoa,
term.
that sounds fantastic, but that sounds like anxiety to me. No, 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 no. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But yeah, okay. So to understand you correctly, Andy, right?
Hmm.
If I understand you correctly, you are speaking of mindfulness being in alignment with meditation, which is in and of itself the balance.
It's basically, yes, mindfulness can be used in
Mm-hmm.
alignment with meditation. It's not always used in alignment with meditation, but it can be, and it's, well, I would hesitate to say the balance, because not every person, not every individual will find the same form of therapy useful. I know people who've tried meditation who said that it didn't work for them. Some people, they try other forms of therapy like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which teaches you to get into the crux of why things are happening. Other people try hypnosis. Some people, they take antidepressants, and I don't judge them for doing so. Other
Mm-hmm.
people, they, talking is enough. So different forms of therapy work for different people. But all I can say is it helps me to achieve my balance, and my attitude to someone struggling with mental health issues would basically be, try it out. You've got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, then at least you've tried it and you can tick it off and say, okay, that didn't work. But there's an answer out there for everybody. That's what I believe anyway. That unless you're getting into the sort of territory where you have to hand the case over to a qualified psychologist or psychotherapist who can, dig deeper. When it comes to my experiences, I think for the vast majority of people, there is a solution, and my attitude would be never stop searching for answers, because when you find a solution or a couple of solutions that start working for you, that will have made all the journey worth it.
Yeah, yeah. Man, we always go off on these tangents. That's why I like to talk to interesting people on my show, you know. It's never really just about that thing that sits in the topic. It's always so much more.
Correct. Yeah. And,
Yes, yes, indeed,
and
indeed.
you can find, it's interesting what tangents it can go off on because, people will find little nuggets of wisdom where they think, that's worth checking out, or yes, that relates to me. You never know where you're going to find something that will resonate with you strongly. So, yeah, going off on the odd tangent here and there isn't so bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's perfect to find. This is how it should be. This is organic. This is a kind of existence. This is the humanness that I celebrate about the show. But let's still try to maintain a balance, because what I wanted to ask you about this wonderful resonance that you've been getting around the book, which is nice because it is an acknowledgement to and for of all the people who are supporting you. I just want to ask you, who are these people?
Okay, so there are a number of them. To start with, I have a friend from Toronto who's a writer. Peter is his name. I've never actually met him because despite the fact that I've written a book based in Canada, I've never been to Canada. But Peter has shown a lot of support for my work. He also is interested in languages, like I am. And I've been meaning to read one or two of his works. And he's put me on to one or two of these people in India who have reviewed his work. He said, I'll try these people in India. They could be of use to you. So, yeah, Peter Gray is his name. And The Tragic Tale of Teddy Woven is one story that he's written. So I can recommend him, and I'd like to say thank you to him if he's listening in. Other than that, there are the one or two people in India that I've been getting in touch with. Shreya Vijay, I think is the lady's name, who has bought a copy of my book and is reviewing it for her platforms and helping to spread the word. So that's nice. Other than that, I'd also like to show my appreciation to some friends in British Columbia. I have some friends over in British Columbia, in particular, two of them, a very energetic lady called Amber and a friend of mine called Cody. Amber and Cody, like me, are musicians, and they've certainly helped to support me in my musical and writing endeavors. And Amber, in particular, has been trying to find ways to get the word out about the book, to speak to people who might be interested, to see if there are any bookshops or Twitch streams, for example, that might be a good point of entry for me. I was speaking to her over Zoom last night. So Amber Lee is her name, and her musician page is called The Crescent Cardinal. I can
Yeah.
recommend her because Amber has a very, very big heart in the sense that she writes songs about her friends, looks out for people. She's very, very community minded, and especially during COVID, she's been trying to put a lot of optimism out there. So I've got a lot of respect for Amber. And the same thing with Cody. Cody's trying to bring independent musicians together. Cody Jean is his name. He runs Gene Media
Yeah.
and G Media, the creative studio. And he's tried to bring musicians from various countries together on his Live at the Creative Cafe show that he does once a month, where musicians just take it in turn to play sets. We've had people from America, we've had people from Canada, from Germany, myself from the UK. And despite the huge time difference, it's been a joy to be a part of it. So I'd like to say thank you to them. Also, I've got a couple of friends living in Toronto as well, who I met them through this. Well, without going into huge detail, I met them through this meetup. There used to be a particular meetup that took place in various cities in the world, and there's a Toronto branch, and I met them there. So Paulina, Marcella's pretty cool, and she's been talking back and forth with me for a while. So has Paulina, and Natalie is another one. There are a couple more as well, but I'd like to say thank you to them for their interest. Some of them have bought the book and they've enjoyed reading it. So there's that. Other than that, closer to home, just my friends and family from England. Really, my wife is always extremely supportive and takes an interest in what I'm doing. So
Lucky man.
if my wife's listening, love you, honey.
Yeah, lucky
um,
man. Yeah, that's fantastic.
yes, I'm very lucky to have her and to have her support. She, like me, is a creative, so I don't interfere with her creative processes, and she gives me the space to do mine. So I'm fortunate to have that. Very fortunate. My parents. Yes, and I know,
Look,
I,
hold on.
I
I'm
know.
interrupting you here. You know,
No, it's fine.
we cannot underrate that. We cannot underrate. Let me tell you, when you have a partner, yes, who supports you that way, it's not a complaint right now. It's just a human thing.
Mm,
But this is an exercise in mindfulness. Yeah, you have a partner who supports you, gives you the space to do this, and there is an understanding of how the space is like managed. Right, that is probably one of the best things you can have in
mm,
life. You know, so
correct.
that's just take it from me. Yeah,
All right.
or don't.
No, no, I will. I will. No, and I agree with you. Respect is the key.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, so there's Kirsten, my wife. They're my mum and dad, who are very proud that I've written a book. My auntie has also, my auntie and uncle have, been reading the book and they've been asking a bit about it. Other than that, yeah, just friends of mine closer to home. I have some friends living down in Cornwall who've been in touch with me about the book. A couple of people, other people that I've given copies out to here in Kent, former colleagues that I've worked with. I'm meeting a friend later today who's, like you and I, she speaks English and German, and she might be interested in hearing about how things have been going. Yeah, so that, and just some friends in Germany as well who I've asked. Former colleagues that I worked with from the UK, from Ireland, who are living in Berlin, and they've basically, yeah, given me tips on people that I could try who might be interested. And one more
Mm-hmm.
person actually that I do have to put the flag up for. There are probably people I've missed for which I apologise. But one more person that I do have to put up the flag for is my language teacher. So I'm currently learning my third foreign language. My first one was German. My second was French. My third one is the Scottish Gaelic language,
Oh
which
my
is the Scottish
goodness.
equivalent of Irish. And yeah, trust me, Ian, it's a tough slog. It's not an easy language, but I have an excellent
Yeah.
teacher in Michael Klevenhaus, or to say it in English,
Wow.
Michael Klevenhaus. And this guy lives in Bonn, but he has mastered the Scottish Gaelic language. He's what they call a Gaelimulchach, which is a very long word. It
Wow.
basically means a German person who's mastered Gaelic, basically. And I asked him, for some help with the book. Any Gaelic that I needed help with, he gave me advice on so that I wrote it down correctly. And I said, can you think of any places that might be interested? Because he studied Celtology, so he knows about, the Celtic countries, Celtic music and everything. So he said, yeah, try these guys. And I've got a list as long as my arm of places to try and promote the book to, but he's helped as well. And if there's one person who can teach me Scottish Gaelic, it's Michael Klevenhaus. So respect to Michael.
Yeah, he speaks English as well, right?
Yes, he does. He speaks German, English, and Gaelic. His English, I haven't heard him speak much English, but it must be good because anyone who takes an interest in Gaelic automatically has to speak English. Because if you just turn up in Scotland speaking Gaelic, people will give you funny looks because a lot of people either don't speak it or aren't used to speaking it. So you'll need both.
Mm-hmm. And French he doesn't speak either.
I don't know about French. It wouldn't surprise me if he speaks a bit of French because French is a
Mm-hmm.
common language among language aficionados. I don't know if he speaks French, but it wouldn't surprise me
Okay.
if he did.
Yeah, I'm just looking for some kind of little angle. I was just gonna say, well, he has many languages of instruction
Hmm.
to tell you what things mean.
Yeah, well, he's familiar with French, I can tell you that. But yeah, German, obviously his native language, Gaelic and English, no trouble.
Andy, you know what? I'm ever grateful for the first time you decided to show some trust and work with me on the show. Not everybody just well, pretty much feel what it is that I'm trying to do immediately, and but you just jumped at it, and I really appreciate that.
No problem.
And you helped me with the jingle, and we're gonna get to that pretty soon. However, just to kind of close this off, and with due respect, I wanna invite you as well. If you wanna put together a list of all these people together with their links, whatever, I would be happy to put them in the show notes.
Hmm.
And link them up for you. And I also want people, in all fairness, I want people to listen to the show.
Of
So
course.
I'm doing that as well. Also because I'm on this well, it's a new awareness that I have. The same thing we spoke about: the humility, the vulnerability, and the humanness. Yeah, we've spoken about vulnerability. I touched on one, I think, and you've touched on a few. We've spoken about illnesses, mental illnesses, and so on, and how we might have been affected in the past by different degrees of depression or whatever. These three things: humility, vulnerability, and humanness, is where I'm at today and where I want to stay. So I will help you to acknowledge the support that these people, you just told me who they are, were helping you, right? To acknowledge them and,
Thank you. Yeah, artists supporting artists or creative people supporting creative people. I'll definitely put a list together for you, man. That'd be great.
yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. Just do it as a little just Jamaican right there. But we have to look out for each other, because one of the another thing, it's the last thing. Artists supporting artists, this is a very important thing to me right now, because we don't recognize sometimes how important that is. To just say something. I mean, a like is nice, but a like is cheap.
Correct.
I want people to tell me what they think, and it's my fault perhaps because I don't really ask a question and invite the comment. Maybe people are afraid to say something or whatever, but what I want is that kind of involvement. And that's why I, for example, opened up now a listeners group for the show, where I hope to get some more meaningful insights.
I should probably do more with that listeners group as well, because I do enjoy your show, and it's been interesting listening to a couple of the episodes. I liked listening to the one with Jenny, our
Ginny.
common, well, not we don't say common friend. I'm thinking in German, our mutual friend. That's the word I was
Our
talking. Yeah,
mutual friend. Yes, 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 yes. Ginny. Yes, yes, yes.
it was
Yeah.
also just partly. I mean, I listened to it, but it was also partly out of linguistic curiosity, because before I listened to the show, I hadn't heard Jenny speak much English, but when I did, I was impressed. I was like, "Wow, you sound pretty fluent." So there we go.
Yes.
I don't know if she
Yeah.
wrote her doctoral thesis in English or in German. Actually, I have not asked her that, but yeah, Jenny speaks pretty good English.
Yes, 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 yes. Definitely, indeed. Jenny, well, she's been there since day one, and I'm ever grateful to her. One thing that happened with that show is that, of course, we start out with a topic, and then based on something she said during the show, I changed the topic to natural enough, and her language is natural enough, and that's the name of the show.
Nice.
Yeah. Alrighty, man. So you're gonna send me that list of contributors, supporters, and as a token of gratitude and acknowledgement, I would be happy to post that. Not only because you did that wonderful jingle for me. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you though, Andy. At first, what I had in mind was more like a kind of a sound logo. So it was very short, 2 seconds, what I had first. That piece was actually inspired by and produced by my brother, and it was an inspiration for what has now come to pass. What you produced, I must say, it was a lot of people like it. It was very warm. It fits in quite nice. It's not 2 seconds, it's 7 seconds. Very rich sound. And it fits perfectly. I think in the last show, what was it? Episode, I don't remember. The last show I put it in and I used it twice because
Nice.
I
I'm
liked it
happy.
so much. I liked it so much. Episode 35 with an old friend of mine, Sandra. She's a professor over there in the States. I loved it, man. So, I mean, how did you do it? Tell me a little about how you produced it.
Well, the first thing that you want to do is to get an idea of what the person who needs the jingle is looking for. I know that your show is a very positive, optimistic place where people, can feel at home. They can learn different things about not just the English language, but about many, many facets of life. So I thought, okay, let's shape the jingle that way. So I knew that we wanted something that was positive and warm and homely. And speaking in musical terms, that's why most of it is written in a major key, because in music you have major chords and minor chords. I think most people have heard of them. And a minor chord will sound much sadder and darker than a major chord of the same name. In fact, if you want, I've got the guitar sitting here next to me. I can give you a very quick example of, say, the difference between E major and E minor, if you'd like to hear it.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
Bring on the music, man.
Bring on the music. Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
give me 1 second here. Just remove that. Just check that we're in tune. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to move the microphone down here a little bit. There we go. So you should be able to hear this. So this is E minor. Sounds quite sad,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yes, melancholic kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
like in expectation of some kind of melancholic ballady sad story feel. That's what I get.
Correct. Yeah. Whereas this is the same chord, but it's E major. Listen to this.
Oh yeah, that's opening up. That's letting in the sunshine.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
that.
That's a happy bouncy song is coming. So that's the difference between major and minor chords. I just put the guitar away, but yeah, the long and short of it is that a minor chord will sound much sadder and darker than a major chord of the same name. So I knew that when I was writing your short jingle that I wanted something that would lend a warm feeling, but that also comes through in the choice of the instruments. I wanted, as well as primarily sticking to major chords, I wanted an instrument that would give a warm feeling, and a synthesizer, which I put in at the end, does that very well. And the classical guitar just came about because, I was thinking, well, what instrument shall I use? I didn't want to use electric guitar because I thought that would sound too kind of snazzy in a way. I didn't want to use piano because I thought piano it just didn't give me the same warm feeling. I think the classical guitar has quite a warm feel to it. The classical guitar can also be very very sad and very melancholic, but if you're using major chords, it can sound quite warm as well. So I thought that paired well with the synth at the end, and I used them together, and it seemed to sound nice. And then of course it slows down towards the end as well to kind of try and give that coming home feeling to it. That's probably the best analogy I can give.
Nice, 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 nice. Well, I have the greatest respect for arts. I mean, I try many things, and I suspect that I might have some kind of artish in me. But yeah, not a musician, not a dancer. I appreciate music, and I photograph dance.
Well, I can't
That's
dance
what I
either.
do.
The only dancing I can do is headbanging.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. The funniest thing, I used to dance a lot. I used to go out and dance quite a lot. It was a part of who I was for quite a while. And it still is, I guess. But the more and more I work with dancers, the less I dance because I'm learning what dancing is. And that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad, actually, because now I just do some kind of twitch and I leave it at that for the most part.
Yeah, I just move around. I try to look cool, and in so doing, probably make others look cooler.
Okay, you got a cooler line than I did. Okay,
No,
good.
your twitching thing sounds pretty good as well.
It's nice, yeah. It works. It works. Just a little twitch. Sometimes I might hide behind some kind of standard and try to do like a waltz or a salsa, Latin
Yeah.
standard. But that's I mean, I can always blame it on the classical rules when I don't get it right somehow. Yeah, man. So I was just interested to know how you got to the jingle, and I'd love to see how it possibly evolves later because there are many moods and many moons of this show. Maybe hopefully one day you listen to an episode and you say, "Hey, man, I know what I can do with the electric guitar."
Yeah. Well, there are all sorts of options. I'll keep it in mind. And yeah, there are all sorts of possibilities when it comes to music. That's one of the beautiful things about music.
Yeah.
Speaking of jingles, I do have a little experience, a tiny bit of experience in writing jingles, so that did help as well. But the two most important rules or guidelines I could give, I wouldn't want to say rules, I call them guidelines, are firstly, trust yourself. When it comes to writing music, it's quite common, I think, for musicians to write something and to think, oh, this isn't any good. But, you need to get out of your own head and try and see it through a third person's eyes, and you'll realize it's not as bad as you thought. And the second rule, most important rule of all when it comes to any creative form, is there are no rules. You're the creator, do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't
Yes.
obviously mean start engaging in musical anarchy, but there needs to be some sort of it needs to be pinned down to something, generally speaking. But yeah, there's something very very liberating about that. The first rule of making music is there are no rules. Do what you want.
That's true. You know, I mean, I think in the last show I also said the same. Wisdom comes back all the time, repackaged. It doesn't erode from the truth of what you're saying at all. But I also say that sometimes when I'm teaching grammar, the first rule is that there is always an exception, and in that case,
Yeah, the exception proves the rule, as they say.
man, all right. Well, you know, I'll just leave it at that. I hope it evolves somehow later. I won't take it as a promise, but you know, I mean, if you feel it, you know, just shout me and say, well, Ian, I have something for you, and
All
I'll be
right, we'll do.
more than happy. You know,
Cool.
right, man. Well, you know, earlier you said that you wanted me to go a little deep into the Jamaican. I don't know how to start. I don't know. I mean, you'd probably have to ask me something
Okay.
for me to
Well,
go into
I,
it.
I I can ask you something. I'll ask you something probably about home because I only know a little bit about which part of Jamaica you grew up in and everything, and then I will do my damnedest to understand everything you say, and we'll see how I get on. I have experience of talking to one or two Jamaican people. I have a Jamaican friend who lives in London. Well, actually, I don't know. Was she born here or did she? Well, she's certainly of Jamaican descent. But anyway, okay. So tell me again, Ian, or tell our listeners, whereabouts in Jamaica did you grow up, and what did you most like about living in Jamaica?
All right. Well, when I grew up, all right, there is a little town called Highgate, and sure you know so well, you know, what if a place in Jamaica have name from Britain. Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's a little town called Highgate, and I would say that is really where I grew up. Yeah. Um, I used to go to a school called Highgate College, and my mother was a teacher there for a while. Now I'm, you know, right now I'm talk to you still, but I'm gonna argue the bass select. Yeah, the bass select is just crazy. You know, the bass select is the deepest dialect. So, you know, me just give you some normal Jamaican we might hear on an everyday basis. So the thing is now I get that's how I grew up. Yeah. Till about 10 or 11.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understood it. Well, but there were little, like one or two words I didn't get there, but I understood everything basically. Keep going.
Good. All right. Well, we can tell you some more. As my mother was a teacher, father was a teacher as well. At the time, well, let's say my sister, who is she then at the UK right now. You know, she
Yeah.
married and she have two youth.
Two
Our
kids.
husband, yeah, our husband worked for Ford. Yeah, Ford. I think him our project, nay, program manager. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that him
Okay.
do a Ford, and them buy a house and them buy a second house, and you know,
Nice.
me not think them will have no more children. But I don't know. I don't. Maybe one is on the way right now. I have no idea. But them have two nice youths. I've visited them about 2 times already. Um, the last time I come over was at our wedding in Maidstone, where you are right now.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Yeah. So that is it. And that I don't know a story from home. So that was my family. You know, you asked about home. My sister, we grew up with my sister, go to the same school. We worked together. I never asked of our brother. I will actually doing an interview with him tomorrow. Tomorrow,
Ah,
I'm doing
good
an interview
stuff.
with my brother. I'm studying law, and I'm still in Jamaica. And him love it. He also asked me why me did love Jamaica. You know, to tell you the truth, still, Jamaica, in fact, me just live there. So, me never really have no comparison. Maybe now me can really, but have a think about it, you know, as apart from it always warm, it always nice, and the people smile,
Yeah.
more, and the food just natural to me because, you know, me not have to adjust, right, as some, I eat up potato and all them things, the potato and pasta. In Jamaica, we have different kind of potato. Some bigger potato called yam.
Yeah. Okay. So swordfish.
Swordfish. So yeah, man. We have swordfish as well, man. Swordfish, and we have marlin. And a fish we call dolphin. It's not really a dolphin. It's a fish, but it's called dolphin.
Uh-huh.
And them thing they're nice, you know. Parrotfish. Yeah,
Parrotfish.
man. Jerk pork. Jerk pork is a thing where it have a history with like the Maroons in Jamaica. Them used to grill, them used to dig a hole and make a big fire, and then them put some stick pimenta wood,
Uh-huh.
and then them put the meat on it and cover up the hole, and it grill for like overnight, and then the meat extra tender. But I suspect it's a whole heap of the spice in a jerk actually come from Britain. It's like it have a ginger with chili and spice and some other thing and pimento and so on. But a whole heap of thing, I think I come from Britain, I think, originally.
Okay.
A lot of it, not all of it. Yeah.
All right.
So
Good. Well, yeah. I mean, barring the odd thing, I understood all of that. So I guess my ability to understand Jamaican English isn't so bad.
you think you understand? We should ask you some question.
Yeah, you can ask me some questions.
Okay, all right. My brother, what my brother do?
Right, I understood, brother. Oh yes, your brother's studying law.
Good. All right, I'm not going to push you anymore. Or maybe I'll push you one more time. Yes. My father and my mother.
They were teachers.
All right, cool. All right. Number two. I'm going to leave it at number two. As well, 2 from 3. I'm going to ask you 3 anyway. I already have 2, so I'm now going to ask you 3.
Go ahead.
Okay. I won't ask you 3. All right, man. I think that's it. Yeah, because it was getting deeper and deeper into it somehow. It comes
when you asked me the question about your brother, it was just the last word that I had to think about. But you said, "What my brother do?" As in, what does my brother do? And then it clicked. I was like, "Oh yeah," and you said, "Yeah," and then I said, "Yeah, your brother's studying law." I remember now.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say, my father's name is Kent.
Kent, like
The
Kent.
last time. Yeah.
That's a
My
coincidence.
father's name is Kent, yeah. And my brother's name is Kurt, so that's German.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say
Kurt, like Kurt Cobain.
Kurt, yes. And
Okay.
my father's name is Kent, as in Kent. So
Nice.
that's another coincidence right there,
Do you want to hear my absolutely terrible Jamaican accent? I can only do one line.
You sure you want to do that? All right.
Okay.
Fine. Yes,
I tried this on a friend of mine in London, my Jamaican, friend of Jamaican descent in London, Angela. What was it? I said something like it. I was trying to imitate Bob Marley. Something like, "Them Jamaican musician, them know it, but them no feel it. You know."
Yes.
Was that any good, or does it just sound like an English guy trying to be Jamaican?
Well, it does sound like an English guy trying to be Jamaican.
Be honest, it's cool.
Be honest. No, but it's nice. I like it, because it is flattering. The same way when you speak another language and you use it to a native speaker, it is flattering to know that someone is making the effort. And you do have some of the, well, you do have a lot of it. It sounds like a British guy doing nothing other than Jamaican.
If I were to spend long enough listening to the accent, I could really. It was the same thing with Glaswegian because I'm trying to think of an example. Like, all right, in standard English, if you tell someone to go away, you'd say "get out of my sight," "get out of my sight." Whereas in Glaswegian, they say "get out of my sight."
Yeah.
Which get out of my sight for Christ's sake, get out of my sight for God's sake, kind of thing. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Or like here's one in English, you would say in standard English, you'd say "I got it from Italy." In Glasgow, they say "I got it for Italy."
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not easy to understand. So to begin with, I had trouble understanding this, but after a while, I can now understand almost anything that someone from Glasgow says to me, and I can imitate the accent as well. Although I'd be cautious about doing it with anyone from Glasgow, as they might headbutt me. No, but
right.
or they might think I was taking the mickey. But if I were to spend long enough looking into Jamaican English, I'm sure I could have a go there as well. But
of course. It's just modeling, man. Especially as a musician, you would pick it up really fast. But but before I cut you, can you say this thing about Italy again? The 2 accents you did, and I'm gonna do directly afterwards the Jamaican, so we have a clear contrast.
Cool. So I got it in English, in standard English. I got it from Italy. In Glaswegian English, I got it for Italy.
And in Jamaican, mi get ya Italy.
Mi get ya Italy. Okay.
Mi get ya Italy. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, I mean, I love the British accent. I love it mostly in film. Did you see the film Penny Dreadful?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
I like it because there is a mix of very old, as of many different tales of, I think, let's see, Frankenstein,
Hmm.
Dracula, and some others all mixed up in one. But what I like most about it is that they use there's a lot of poetry in it. So you have
Mm.
like Frankenstein being in love, and he is reciting the most beautiful utterances of desire to some woman he will never have, and there's such pain in his voice. It's just fantastic in the British
I
accent. It's
can imagine.
fantastic. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You can imagine the pain of this guy. He will never have a beautiful smile, and the depth of his love.
It reminds me a little bit of Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, yes, similar. And there was also the guy, Dorian Gray. The
Yeah,
guy who
the
never died.
the picture of Dorian Gray, yeah,
The
Oscar
picture of
Wilde,
Dorian.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. He is also in. So it's all of these tales thrown together with very poetic language. And this actress that I really like, I don't remember her name. Her name is Eva Green.
Yeah, rings a bell.
All right, fine. Andy, I
Yes.
think, I think we've achieved what we
What we set out to achieve.
what we set out to achieve. I think we've achieved what we set out to achieve. And again, I want to thank you for having taken part, taken the time.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. And again, also for the jingle. Yeah, you still haven't sent me that wave, by the way. You need the wave.
Have I still not sent? Okay, I will email it to you.
Yes, man. Send it, send it. Also, not because I do have as I said, this guy, he wouldn't be changing anything, but he's interested to know. He's a student of mine, and
Hmm.
he's a master mixer. And there is the source, which is the musician, and then there is someone else who might be able to I don't know. You know what mixers do.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
he's welcome
they
to
do their
use it.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Just I don't know. I just want to see. I mean, as it is, it's perfectly fine. The fullness of the acoustic guitar is definitely what I was hoping to get. And I'm also interested to see what that wave looks like. To be honest, I want to see what the wave looks like
Hmm. Sure.
from the. Yeah, klar, natürlich.
Ja, klar.
Yeah,
Ich schick's dir.
yeah, man. Okay, all right, Andy. Again, thanks. We're at 59 minutes, and man, this is spot on.
Good stuff.
Nah?
Well, thank you again for having me.
Yes, Andy. And maybe before you go, is there anything else that you wanna, maybe a word of encouragement? Maybe you wanna, hey, share a link or something, or
Well, there is one person that I haven't actually mentioned. What I'm
uh-huh.
going to do is just give me 1 second. Yeah, one person that I didn't actually mention is my good friend from London, a guy called Andy Cops. This guy is he's a South African friend of mine who is the other man that I've written a couple of jingles for. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention him. So he's a children's storyteller, and he's also
Mhm.
doing an interesting series at the moment on the Grimm brothers. The famous brothers Grimm from
Oh, really?
Germany. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I can. Some of his content is for children. Some of it is for sort of older children or adults. But I can
Mhm.
recommend looking him up on Google or on YouTube. If you were to go on YouTube and type in Andy Cops, that's COPPS, and
Yeah.
type in storyteller, then you'll come across his YouTube page, or you can find him via Google. He's got a website. I can highly recommend looking into the services that he provides, and just looking into the content that he puts out there. He's recognized my own passion for music,
Hmm.
and especially music, but also writing,
Hmm.
from a very early time, shortly after I met him, and he's always encouraged me. So if you're listening, Andy, thank you very much, bud, and I look forward to catching up with him soon. But yeah, go check out Andy Cops's material on YouTube. You will not be disappointed.
I definitely will. Also for myself, and you know why? Just coincidental, as you say that, I sometimes promote this as a strategy. Whereas, let's say if I'm teaching grammar, this is now coming to my teaching practice. If I'm teaching grammar, I say to people, first we look at the meaning, then the form, which is sometimes mathematical, then we go into some practice and pronunciation. So it's always the MFP, sometimes another P.
Hmm.
Now, getting the meaning first. whatever the case is the approach that I recommend. So I might say to someone, is there a story that you already know in your own language? And they will, of course, they would say yes. Maybe something like Pippi Langstrumpf, or you said Grimm. Many people know the stories of
Of
Grimm.
course.
There are versions for babies, versions for kids, versions for older kids, and very dark versions for adults. I would say. So that is actually a good thing, because then I could say to people, well, since my goal is to help people to hold on to their language, that's what I'm actually doing with the show as well. Check out this guy. Maybe there's a story there in English, maybe a book. I don't know if he does audiobooks or whatever. And see if they know the story already in their own language, then it will be easier for them
Absolutely.
to solidify their English when they check it out then.
Yeah, exactly. If it's something familiar to them, then A, the interest is there, and B, the learning comes to them more easily, doesn't it?
Yeah, the meaning is already there. That's the thing. The first thing, establish the meaning, and then you say, so sagt man das auf Englisch.
Richtig, völlig richtig.
Yes, yeah, genau so. So, that's good. Anyway, as promised, I will definitely, as long as you just send me all the things, I'm going to do this for you. I'd be happy to do it, because eternally grateful for what you've done with this jingle, and you'll hear it from time to time. Just thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all.
And all the best. And we'll see you on social, man.
Yeah, see you on Instagram. See you on Instagram. See you on Facebook. Let's stay in touch, and continue to support one another. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot, Andy. And you enjoy your day. And greetings to the good wife.
Thank you. I will pass those on. Enjoy your day too, buddy.
All right then. Bye-bye.
Bye.